billions of dollars in spending we'll see in the budget was unavoidable. Do you agree with that? And if not, where would you be cutting spending?
I just think that's at odds with the economists at the moment, and the Reserve Bank Governor has pointed out very clearly to the Treasurer that if you continue the reckless spending, inflation's going to stay higher for longer, which means interest rates stay higher for longer. And Australian families who have had 12 interest rate increases under this government don't see any relief in sight. Interest rates have already started to come down in Canada, in the United States, in New Zealand and in the UK. Now, they should have already come down here, but they haven't because, as the Reserve Bank Governor points out, the government continues to spend. And as we're seeing in Victoria, the Labor Party there is destroying the local economy. And it's exactly what Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers are doing at the federal level as well.
Isn't that spending needed to help families with cost of living pressures?
Well, there's some spending, of course, which is necessary, but there's a lot of spending which the government has created, which is what has driven inflation. Ask yourself this question: are you better off today than you were 2.5 years ago? And heaven knows how bad it will be in 3 years' time if we end up with a Labor Greens minority government. And every political commentator at the moment is pointing out that the best outcome for the Labor Party after the next election is that they're in minority government. They can't form a majority government. And that would be damaging to the economy. And if you think you're paying more for your electricity now, if you think that there's a prospect of blackouts and brownouts, and if you're paying more for gas and more for groceries, wait and see what happens after a second term of an Albanese government. I just don't think Australians can afford another 3 years of Anthony Albanese and Labor.
You touched on the spending that's driving inflation. What would you be cutting then to help bring inflation down?
Well, we'll make announcements in relation to our programs closer to the election, and it'll be dependent on the economic circumstances. But what I know is, having been an Assistant Treasurer to Peter Costello in government and worked on the Expenditure Review Committee for a number of years, the Coalition will always better manage the economy than Labor. We're much better at managing money than Labor. Labor always tax and spend. And then when they run out of money, they tax more. And when they continue to spend, they drive up inflation. And that's part of the problem at the moment. We've had 3 budgets from this hapless Treasurer. Every decision he's taken has hurt Australian families and small businesses. We've had a 3-fold increase in the number of manufacturing businesses that have closed over the last 2 years. And when you compare us to our international competitors or comparable economies, interest rates have already come down, but they're not coming down here. I want them to come down. I think they should have come down by now. But the Prime Minister and the Treasurer continue to ignore the advice of the Reserve Bank Governor.